Juliet Starling is having a bad day. Her cheerleading squad failed to win nationals for the third year in a row. She's late to meet her boyfriend Nick, who is like totally dreamy. And to top it all off, her high school has been completely overrun by zombies. Luckily for Juliet, she has a well-kept secret. Zombie massacre is what she does best.
I'm a zombie hunter.
Lollipop Chainsaw is the latest wacky offering from Suda51 and his development team at Grasshopper Manufacture, and it sees our perky protagonist leaping and cheering her way through zombie hordes, all while wielding a chainsaw. And of course, chomping on a lollipop when she needs to pick me up. It's the kind of crass, zany humour we've come to expect from Suda51, all centred around a combo-heavy brawler with stars aplenty and rainbows.
I have to say, when I picked up this game, I really thought I'd hate it. Juliet Starling is everything that's wrong with the way women are portrayed in gaming.
I just found a stray dog and it's so cute. Do you think Mom...
And while I shudder to think that girls everywhere could be leaping up to cosplay as Juliet instead of FemShep at conventions, this game really did make me laugh.
Yeah, it's crass, isn't it? But it's actually quite funny at times.
Yeah, the humour's not all bad, especially after something like Shadows of the Damned, one of Suda51's other games, which was really unsavoury.
Now that is a big boner.
Ugh. I mean, by comparison, this game was fairy floss. It's a parody of itself, and Juliet, ditzy and scantily clad as she is, still manages to kick some serious butt in the process with goofy jokes at every turn.
And quit making fun of Stephen Hawking. He's a great man, you perv.
And in true Suda style, this game is weird. Like, mega weird.
Upon failing to make it to her boyfriend in time, Juliet watches as Nick is bitten by a zombie and realises that there is no hope for him to survive. Unless Juliet performs a ritual magic spell taught to her by her father that will preserve Nick's decapitated head, that she then can choose to wear as a belt accessory for the rest of the game. It's a classic tale.
What?
Juliet's focus is on tearing her way through as many zombies as possible, using a combination of kicks, flips, cheers, and pom-pom bashes, along with some hefty and acrobatic swings of her chainsaw. Dead zombies will give up medals, and so will saving students in danger. And you'll use these to unlock more complex and heavier-hitting combos.
Click, click.
I thought these looked really great. Chaining together your cheerleader attacks with low spins, thrusts, and windmill moves really made a mess of the fray. And the more combos you use, the more medals will drop from zombies, and you can buy even more. I found the chainsaw was a bit slow though, Hex, just in the action of it.
Yeah, well, it is a heavy weapon to use though. It's got some weight behind it.
I know, but I felt like that stilted the action a little bit, and it made it a bit button mashy as you're trying to catch up to what's going on. And if you don't time your attacks correctly, combos can be interrupted by some fairly heavy-hitting zombie attacks.
There's a decent variety of zombie enemies too. Some zombies will be strapped with explosives. Policemen zombies have guns, zombies that fly, and some will charge you as well. Getting a hit in to break a charge or working out which moves will take out a heavy zombie with just one hit is really fun, and it makes those sore fingers you get from mashing buttons really worthwhile, not to mention your rank at the end of each level.
Completely awesome.
Later on, you'll also pick up a chainsaw attachment that turns it into a gun, with bullets that crop up from time to time when you need them most. And my favourite was a more powerful version of the gun called the Nick Popper, which is a one-off attack you can gamble for, allowing you to shoot Nick's head at zombies from a rainbow funnel.
Killing zombies also gives Juliet star power, and when you fill up a meter, you can execute a rainbow attack for a bit of extra cheer-tastic spirit. It's ridiculous, but you know, there's always something even more ridiculous and wacky around the next corner, so I don't know, I was strangely hooked by this game.
Yeah, it's relentlessly bizarre, isn't it? You travel to all these weird, disjointed, odd locations, which all center around the game's bosses, which brings us to the source of the zombie outbreak. Outcast and bullied teen goth Swan has decided to lash out after the way he was treated during high school by opening up a portal to a rotten zombie dimension. This causes everyone in and around San Romero High to be affected. Unless Juliet is able to stop 5 rock god-inspired mega zombie villains, the portal will stay open forever.
Your journey to victory is like one long, sweaty, fever-induced hallucination. I mean, some levels will take you to a farm where you're plowing through zombies on a tractor or shooting at them from the roof of a bus. Other times you'll be facing off against a giant Viking boss on a floating ship. There's giant angry chickens. Then you're in a video game arcade getting teleported Tron style inside arcade games, or fighting a weird disco zombie boss on a UFO in space.
I loved all the wackiness of it, Hex, but some parts got a bit gimmicky and repetitive at times. The on-rails sections where you're shooting rocks out of your way, or the numerous chainsaw dash areas, which were often a bit awkward to maneuver, they just felt like filler. There's a bit too much padding. I would have rather spent that time learning new ways to take down zombies.
Oh, I love the chainsaw dash, especially over rooftops. For me, this game is just so erratically different from one moment to the next that, I wanted to keep playing just to find out what it was going to throw at me next. Breaking things up with those high school sporting stages like zombie baseball or zombie basketball kept it interesting for me. Although movement can be a bit awkward at times, performing an acrobatic move to jump up onto something or through a window needs to be lined up perfectly in order for that animation to play out, and that really takes me out of the game and emphasises the linear nature of the levels. Although I thought the use of quick time events was perfect. It's just enough to keep you on your toes.
Look out!
I didn't mind the quick time events that popped up in the midst of battle, but those minigames where you have to put Nick's head on a zombie just to get him from one side of the room to another, they just felt like they were wasting my time and they were a bit annoying.
Yeah, thankfully those didn't go on for too long. I was really impressed with the overall design of this game. It just oozes style, even in the loading screens. And that wacky story and humour just somehow ties it all together. There's also a seriously great soundtrack here, with each song being carefully chosen to reflect Juliet's personality or her surroundings.
I like the boss fights, most of them, especially the one with the hippie that kept splitting herself into little bits. It's just a shame that last boss fight was so predictable when all the others were so wacky and crazy.
The only time I ever really cringed in this game was occasionally with the taste level. I mean, I don't mind Juliet. She's silly and ditzy, but she certainly isn't a damsel and seriously packs a punch. But she's also a walking cliche and will go on about calories or how fat she thinks she is. And while I can deal with the stripper pole, saving students in school will sometimes earn you this thanks.
I never thought I'd be saved by someone with such great tits.
Yes, and it's hard to find an unlockable outfit that isn't insanely revealing. What bothered me most, though, was all the up-the-skirt shots. I mean, is this what the developer thinks we really want to see? Lots of accentuated shots where you're looking at panties?
Douchebags!
Yeah, it's part of that whole Japanese sexy innocent appeal, isn't it? I mean, I feel like maybe in Western culture we have a few different versions of what sexy can be, but, in games like this it tends to be short skirts and panties every time.
Yeah, I think that's true, but I still think it's really creepy, and I think after the content in their last game, this developer needs to think a little bit more deeply about what they're putting in and what they're doing for video games with this kind of stuff.
I agree. That said, Juliet's relationship with her zombie hunting family and decapitated boyfriend is strangely heartwarming and genuine.
Dad, this is...
Nick, I know. You told me all about it. Failed to mention the, disability.
In the end, I found it impossible not to stay entertained with Lollipop Chainsaw because it's constantly changing and inventing trippy new scenarios for you to swing your chainsaw at. I'm gonna put the old feminist rant aside this time and say I'm surprised at how much fun I had with this. I'm giving it 7.5.
I think I didn't like it as much as you, Hex. I found it frustrating at times and too repetitive, and I felt like it was just an odd collection of bonus stages as opposed to a fully fleshed out game. So I'm giving it 6 out of 10. Really, just maybe want a new Buffy game. Wouldn't that be cool? A gritty Buffy reboot.
You and Buffy.
Everyone in Buffy.